Good evening, fellow Amazonians, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to this very important broadcast. This is the transition fund drive, phase two, with President Sako. I think I would say this is the pre-session. And in this pre-session, we have decided to look into something very important. The United Nations had a talk in Geneva a few days ago on human rights issues, and it was captioned the UN 2159 meeting. It was the 81st session, and the colonial government was reprimanded to present a report. Just so I could give you a backdrop of some of the things that they said before we look at how they got themselves ridiculed in an attempt to lie. I'm sure some of you would have watched this, but maybe we should watch it one more time.
Muy buenas tardes.
A very fine afternoon to one and all. We will now begin our meeting 2171. I am very pleased again to receive the delegation of Cameroon, led by Ambassador Salomon Ehid. We can thus continue to consider the sixth periodic report from Cameroon in this 2161st meeting. Ambassador, you have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I will continue in French, with your leave. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon to the honorable members of the committee and to all of those who are here in this room. Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the committee, ladies and gentlemen, in this important session of the CAT, again, this is more or less the concluding session in considering the sixth periodic report of our country. So some introductory remarks here. Cameroon, as everyone knows, Cameroon is a state with rule of law. It is and I see that in all senses of the word, it is a democratic state. The head of state, Mr. Paul Biya, since ascending to the supreme magistrate of the country, has made human dignity and human rights a central pillar of his leadership. The law on liberty and freedom, voted in 1990, clearly set forth his vision for his field of action, setting his firm commitment to...
I don't have time to listen to that gibberish there. I'm coordinating the Zoom meeting for all those who are in the Zoom. So I really don't have time for us to spend in listening to that gibberish. The first few words can tell you everything or every lie that would have been spoken. And according to some of the lies, Cameroon denied everything. They didn't mention the torture. They denied responsibility. But you heard the representative of the Cameroon government there actually saying that Biya is committed to human dignity and human rights. Seriously? Okay, let's listen to another very important session that took place in Geneva and find out how true this is. This is not ABC Amba television making a propaganda. It was a discussion that took place in the same meeting. Watch.
De la torture et comment documenter efficacement la torture. Je passe maintenant aux articles 12 et 13 sur l'enquête rapide et impartiale et protection des victimes. Dans son discours d'ouverture, Monsieur l'ambassadeur a dit « Les enquêtes sont ouvertes. Les mesures disciplinaires conservatoires prononcées dans l'attente de l'issue des procédures judiciaires. Mr. President, I'll switch to English now. Let me address this matter by making reference to a few high-profile cases. First, the killing of Cameroonian radio journalist Mr. Martinez Sogo. Mr. Sogo revealed details of financial scandals implicating members of the government and allied businessmen. As I'm sure the delegation knows, in January of 2023, his body was found days after being abducted. Media reports indicate that Mr. Sogo's body was wrapped in aluminum foil and was taken by night when no one could see it to a vacant lot with the aim of using acid to destroy it. These reports indicate that more than 6 months after Sogo's death, the 15 men imprisoned suspects who have been held since February are charged only with complicity in torture. The reports indicate, quote, that this smells of a fix, according to a security source. Another source, who allegedly has had access to the case file, said that this was, quote, inexplicable. People close to the case, according to media reports, are beginning to doubt the judicial investigation's sincerity, and some point to the absence of certain evidence which has disappeared or was never included in the case file. The committee has received concerning reports about journalists' lack of safety in Cameroon. Reports indicate that Paul Chuta, a reporter from Cameroon Web, was forced into a car, given a severe beating, and left for dead at the side of a road on 9 March of 2022, 2 days after he posted a photo on Facebook showing the finance minister and a prominent businessman who allegedly was involved in the killing of Martinez Sogo. In another recent case, Ramon Cota, a social media activist, was apparently kidnapped in Gabon on 17 July 2024 and forcibly extradited to Yaoundé. Mr. Cota's lawyer and international human rights organizations state that Mr. Cota was subject to torture. Mr. Cota has been living in Gabon for the past 10 years and is known for his TikTok videos at the Service Central de Recherche Judiciaire. According to a confidential report reported in the media, Mr. Cota suffered from early paralysis on the left side and visual disturbances as a result of torture and mistreatment during his detention. In another case, a recent case of singer Longué Longué, an artist who is also known for his critical views on the government, a video of Cameroonian officers torturing him emerged. In the video, Longué Longué's hands are cuffed behind his back. He is sitting on the floor in his underwear as the soles of his bare feet are beaten with a flat machete. He pleads for the beating to stop, but the men who appear to be security agents continue. Can the delegation please specify the status of these investigations of these different cases? In the specific case of Mr. Sogo's killing, and as noted under Article 1 of the Convention, please provide additional information on the mitigating factors that downgrade the crime of torture to a charge of complicity in torture. Could the delegation specify the charges under which Mr. Cota is being held, particularly as he was not in Cameroon when he was arrested by authorities in Gabon? Have any investigations into ill treatment or torture being initiated? In the case of artist Longué Longué, have any investigations being initiated? As indicated in Cameroon's Human Rights Commission's website, the Commission wrote to the Minister Delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense to ensure that the results of the investigation opened by him in the case of Longue Longue be known before 13 November of 2024, that is today. Could the delegation please share the specific findings on those responsible for the ill treatment and torture that is visible for the world to see? In light of the committee's previous concluding observations and the information provided in the State Party's periodic report, paragraphs 126 through 128, the committee remains concerned about the ambiguity of the accountability measures relating to the cases of involving Cameroon police, gendarmes, and specifically in the cases of Buba Yauba, David Edmond Gumpung Gunitiche group, and ethnic or regional origin of the victim for these cases. Please also share any individual information on the progress of these cases. This is referring to paragraphs 165 through 176 of the committee's concluding observations under the fifth periodic report. In particular, and I close with this, Mr. President, the events, and apologies for my mispronunciation, events in Ngarbu in February of 2020, events concerning the looting, burning of villages, and murders of English-speaking civilians allegedly perpetrated by the army, particularly in Babukok, Banjem, and Do in January 2020, and in the villages of Kwakwa, Dadi, Kajifu, and Bodam in December of 2017. Concerning the murder of 10 men in the village of Bole Bakundu on February 6, 2019, by soldiers of the Rapid Intervention Battalion. On the murder of 5 civilians, including a disabled person, on April 4 of 2019, in the village of Melouf by gendarmes and soldiers of the Rapid Intervention Battalion. Concerning the murder of a man and the destruction of houses in the village of Mancon on 15 May 2019, and the murder of 2 men on 10 July 2019. On the July 2018 murder of 2 women and their children accused by the Cameroonian army of being members of Boko Haram. Concerning the murder of 4 civilians and the enforced disappearance of 2 others on 26 June 2018 in the village of Muri, far north region, by armed soldiers. Concerning the murder of 2 unarmed men by soldiers of the Rapid Intervention Battalion in a Buya neighborhood known as Great Sopo on 24 September 2018. Concerning the death of 4 people in the far north region in April 2015. And the death of a man attributed to the FDS during an operation to arrest Indian hemp growers on 4 September 2017 in the village of Kifen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I stop here my presentation.
Gracias.
Well, I'm sure you would have listened. That's just a summary. The report was about 20 minutes, but I wish we had all the time. We have been broadcasting this all through ABC Amba television for a while right now, and you would listen to the other side of it just few minutes after a Cameroonian representative will sit in the face of the world to say that the Cameroon government honors right to the people's dignity and human rights. And for over 8 minutes, the Cameroonian diplomat will lie about the actual collateral humanitarian damages by even the government. So their claim, as always, you give a dog a bad name, and you want to crucify it. Now, I would like to have the barristers greet us very briefly. We're going to comment on this in encapsulation with everything that we'll have to discuss on human rights this evening. So I want them to greet us real quickly. And after they just will greet us, we'll move into the newsroom with Undaunted so that Undaunted can capture a report that is human rights related. And encapsulation of that, we can discuss every situation and explain the stance of this government when it comes to crimes against humanity, the outright disrespect of human rights. So good evening, Barrister Fru. Good evening, Barrister Mbeseha. You're welcome.
Good evening, Paddy. Thank you once more for inviting us this Saturday, the 23rd of November 2024, for another interesting program. We intend to make our own opinions known to our people, both at home and abroad, all over the world. I therefore greet all Ambazonians, both in the home front, in the diaspora. When I mean the diaspora, I mean all over the world. Thank you very much for sustaining the revolution up to now. And I wish to assure you that we are homebound. Thank you very much.
That's amazing there. Barrister Mbeseha, please.
Well, thank you, Paddy, for having us once more. Again, as Brother Nsoh says, we're on the road. This is the revolution. It's not just shooting guns and killing people. It involves doing what we're doing, educating people, exposing the enemy wherever they want to hide. The hearings that we're referring to were held in Geneva. We were not there, but we can assure our people that we're up to date. We're informed. Their lives will be uncovered. There's no place for them to hide. And over to you.
Wow, that was a great one right there. So, Mr. Smart, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes, please. I want to
I
be
can
sure
hear
that your
you.
sound is effective, and you speak. You don't shake your head, so that I'm sure that you can actually hear me. I understand that there is a report that has to do. Is it somewhere Ekpa, that has just been picked up for claims or alleged crimes against humanity and terrorism in southeast Nigeria. Our interest in that report, and when you indicated that you were working on it, I got interested because it is linked with, he happens to be a very close friend of Cho Ayaba that has also been apprehended by the Norwegian government. It's been now for a couple of weeks as well. And we have a great interest because we want to talk about human rights. Tell us a little more about that story before we get into this conversation, please.
Oh, taking a look at the arrest of Cho Ayaba on the charges of incitement to crimes against humanity, which has sparked a whirlwind of discussions within the Amazonian liberation struggle and the broader international community. Well, while Ayaba's legal battle unfolded under Norway's jurisdiction, the core concern for Amazonians, as we know, extended beyond his personal accountability to the broader implication for international law and the struggle against impunity. Amazonian stakeholders view the case as a critical precedent for ensuring that the crimes of the Cameroonian regime, La République, does not cross international borders unchecked. The focus highlighted the importance of curbing state-sponsored impunity, even as questions arose about Ayaba's potential involvement in crimes committed by his loyalists. For many, the challenge of these arrests lay in navigating the thin line between holding individuals accountable and safeguarding the legitimate pursuit of self-determination. The geopolitical and legal complexities surrounding Ayaba's case became even more evident as intelligence surfaced about the Cameroonian government's lobbying efforts for his extradition. However, the absence of a formal extradition treaty between Norway and Cameroon stalled these efforts, signaling a critical safeguard against potential misuse of international mechanisms to suppress liberation movements. The situation underscored the necessity of protecting justice systems from becoming tools of oppression against authentic struggles for independence. Ayaba's court case, now adjourned to January 14th of next year, 2025, remains a pivotal moment in Amazonian history. As his lawyer navigates the legal landscape, Ayaba's possible release pending further proceedings raises the stake for international law, challenging global actors to focus on systemic injustices rather than individual controversies. Well, in a parallel twist, Simon Ekpa, a close ally of Ayaba Cho and a controversial figure in his own right, has also been arrested, this time by Finnish authorities. Ekpa, a Nigerian who identifies as Biafran, faces terrorism charges tied to his dissemination of extremist ideas on social media. His arrest adds another layer of complexity to the narrative, linking the struggles of Biafra and Ambazonia while spotlighting the shared challenges of liberation movements in navigating legal scrutiny and international policies. Notably, EPA's alleged ties to the Dragon Marine Fighters, a group reportedly holding the DO of Idabato hostage, whom we are not certain is still alive at the moment, further complicates his own situation. His silence on these allegations contrasts sharply with the escalating tension surrounding his arrest and its implications for allied movement. Well, the arrest of Ayaba and Ekpa highlights a critical moment for liberation movements across Africa. These cases, though legally distinct, converge in their impact on the fight against colonial oppression and the pursuit of justice, and bringing those guilty accountable. For Amazonians and their allies, the challenge lies in maintaining focus on systemic injustices, ensuring that individual controversies do not overshadow the broader struggle for independence. Well, as both men await their respective legal fates, the international community faces a pressing question, and that is, how can justice system balance accountability for crimes with the protection of legitimate movements for self-determination? That is the question. The outcome of these cases will undoubtedly set a precedent, not just for Ambazonia, but for all movements resisting systemic oppression. With this, we'll hand over to you, Mr. Ta.
That was amazing, Star Smart. That was a great one there. We brought this up because it has to do with human rights issues and the involvement of Amazonia in the war. We thought that you, the lawyers, will be able to help us make a distinction between what is a legitimate fight for independence like ours and those who are committing crimes against humanity. So I will hand over the mic to you, Barrister Fru and Barrister Team, to make a brief commentary there with regards to the current discussion on human rights in Geneva that is trending in the Cameroons for over 2 weeks now, and so that we can focus on what is necessary this evening. I'll begin with you, Barrister Fru.
Yes, thank you, Paddy. I was very, very keen listening to the human rights expert who was speaking. He started with French and started speaking English, and he presented quite a number of human rights violations that he has documented. But I like to think that it is just a tip of the iceberg, because the number of human rights violations within the period concerned is much appalling. take the beheading of Sam Sawyer, take the way Alphonse, who is still living now in Kondenge prison. That famous video that you saw those gendarmes climbing on him, put a chair, and they put their boots on him, and they were beating his legs and with cutlass and so on and in mud. That video is very popular. They made no mention of that. There are many other human rights violations, like the killings on the streets in Bamenda, the killings throughout the southern Cameroons during the period. This human rights organization did not mention it, but I would also give him credit for mentioning the few that he mentioned, like what happened in Kwakwa, what happened in other villages. But he left out the fact that a baby of 4 months was shot by military men on a chair that she was sleeping on when the mother was cooking in the kitchen in Muyuka. Baby matter. I didn't hear that. It looks like they just gave a few and asked Cameroon to explain. I don't know. I wouldn't say that because I wasn't there. I was not there. But what we saw is what we listened. That is my immediate reaction. That there was a lot that was left out. That is all I can say for now. Until we listen to the side of the government.
I would just like to add some flesh. He gave a very, I think it was a sound report. At the time allocated, I'm not sure that he would have, what they say in French, mentionné tout ce que tu dis. So I'm not sure he would have been able to highlight everything. But the report came as a great intervention and consolation to the people of Ambazonia who would have just listened to Cameroon's human rights report. And I believe Barrister Mbeseha has spent time for close to 2 weeks now discussing on it. I want to get his opinion on that.
Yeah.
Well, this is my take. Until now, maybe most of us, or many of us, or at the best some of us, we didn't know that this review is periodical. They review it once in 2 years. The first that we were aware of was in 2019. The second one was in 2021. And now we have this 2024, which is a follow-up. And so we are not aware of that. But what's important to me is seeing the reporter there. The man was reading their complaint about. That guy is not an Ambazonian, one. He's not even a Cameroonian, two. But the details that he gave about what everything he cited as violations is sufficient to make us believe that they have a lot of work. They have done a lot of work. They cover almost everything there. So in spite of the denial of Yaoundé, I think they have enough evidence to hold Cameroon accountable. What is their fault? What can they do with what they have? I don't know. I've not read the convention. But again, let us be reminded that this particular one, this review of last week, was entitled Torture. They focused essentially on torture. And so you find Cameroon in their first line of defense, in their statement, it was not even a defense. He said Cameroon is a democratic country with the rule of law. That's your line of defense. Technically, very intelligent. These people, nothing catches them by surprise. And what do you call laws in Cameroon? A few of the laws passed through Parliament, which is still the Presidential Act. The bulk of the laws are presidential decrees. And so they know what they're doing. They do all those things, but they cover themselves with the theory of a state of law. I find if you read the report, I saw it's quite long. You find them everywhere they cite a law that has been passed. to protect people left and right. That has been passed to prohibit this and left and right. And so again, I said last week, Cameroon is a very bad country. They don't lack laws. No, they have laws on everything in the books. Everything they do is against a law they have provided themselves in their books. And so they are perpetual violators of laws, criminals in the first order. I give the example. This is the Criminal Procedure Code. This is a law on how people should be caught, how people should be detained, how they should be investigated, how they should be tried. This is the law here. This is a code. But they don't respect even a single article of it. Article 30, for example, talks about arrest warrant. I'm taking an example. How to arrest people. The police officer must go there, identify himself with an order from the court. But all of us know, everybody in Cameroon knows, they don't do that. They don't respect that, even their own court. I've said before, they have something very common in Cameroon in general called Kale Kale. It is prohibited in this code. But that's the order of the day. That's what they do. But that not being the case. You see what I say was torture. If you see what the examples they gave there in that report, in that complaint, the examples are very specific on torture. The names they gave, Longue Longue, they gave Raymond Kuta, they gave journalist Paul Chuta, they gave Martinez Zobo. These are all journalists. Yeah, these are all journalists who have been tortured. And they gave examples how they went to Gabon and brought people back without extradition. These are people not joking. This is written down. This is part of their report. And what would you see Cameroon do? They will tell you, well, in fact, in their last review of 2021, I guess, the issue of Wazizi came up. And if you read the whole report now, it came up again because they have not resolved the issue. What did they say? What did Cameroon say? Cameroon said matter closed. Do you believe that those people listening to Cameroon are satisfied that the matter is closed? Certainly not. They are not. And so this report again, in addition to putting all these things there, which is torture, they went beyond the point to repeat the incidences of Southern Cameroon. Garbo, they didn't happen now. The burning of the villages, they are not now. All this mentioned there, they occurred in 2019, 2020. They were reviewed in 2019. They were reviewed in 2021. The review came up this. Today it is coming up. In other words, they are not yet satisfied with what Yaoundé has given them as a reply. So they are up, they are doing a good job. The problem we face all the time is, as I've said earlier, what is the power of this committee? They are investigating because Cameroon has signed up to the torture convention. What do they do with it? If you read the whole report again, which I've had the opportunity to read part of it, they talk of mass graves. They have them. They give the examples. Swat, some in Boya. And of course, Cameroon, like you and me, like Mr. Sonos, they will not come and admit it. They will say, no, we never did it. They deny before the court is not evidence of not being guilty. They are guilty in most of those things. But we face the problem that most human rights to that level all over the world, they are actually effectively sanctioned only after the regime has fallen. Because I don't expect Yaoundé to conduct investigators to swear and say, well, these were very people that there. They will not do it. Because even when the investigators come with the machines to find out those things, they are led there by the government officials. So when government is still in power, it's almost impossible for them
to do anything.
To have the rare punishment that we need. But we should convince ourselves that these things are in the records. They are actually in the records. That's why I said These people are not Cameroonians, at best. They're not even Amazon, and they're not even Africans. But that thing you are reading from a computer. So there's a database, there's information stored there. Again, as I said earlier, we have our own brothers and sisters in Cameroon doing journalism, doing human rights reporting. But we must admit the fact that to do human rights reporting in Cameroon is a very difficult task. You are putting your life at risk. Those of them who do it, we should praise them for doing it. But as I urged earlier, they will do a better job if, in addition to what they are writing in their own report, they send some of this sensitive information to the people who are outside, like that guy reading from the computer. Because it is the truth. If you want to do it the way we want, they will kill you. They will simply kill you. That's the mark of the regime.
So you're
And
actually giving them a
yeah,
strategy.
let me take it up to Ekpa and Ayaba. Well, Ayaba in Norway, Ekpa in Finland. This is not Nigeria, where Ekpa belongs. This is not Cameroon, where in quote Ayaba belongs. But it tells us that there's no hiding place for you where you commit human rights violations. They will pick you up where necessary. And so, again, I don't know the facts about Ekpa, but let us deal with Ayaba. That we know very, very well. All the human rights violations, all the crimes alleged committed by Ayaba were committed against us, Ambazonians, against his own brothers and sisters. None of those alleged crimes was committed against the Republic of Cameroon. So he cannot even cover himself on the pretext that he was fighting a war, because it's not.
And so this tells the logic for us to say that he was a proxy of the colonial government.
I don't even know whether he was working for them, but he committed those acts.
Yeah.
He committed those acts. There's evidence there. He shot people in Garbo in a Gozang market.
On camera.
We don't know whether they ordered him to do it, but he admitted doing it. They are burning people's taxis and doing everything. We don't know whether they ordered him, but he admitted doing it. These taxis are owned by Ambazonians. The two guys, for example, in Gozang, are Gozang people. They are Ambazonians. So without stretching even too far for Yaoundé, because Yaoundé, you know that they Yaoundé, so we never did it anyway. But why would Cho Ayaba, a human being in the first place, and a Ambazonian in the second place, choose to bring this havoc on his own people?
I think he got so angry, particularly in Gozang, because he was rejected by the people of Momo, and he couldn't bear it.
That reminds me of that.
Their husbands on the street to actually prove to the world that he can discipline them and correct them, but he got them more radicalized. Just go ahead. I was just trying to add it to the conversation.
That reminds us that you and me sitting here and talking in the name of this struggle. We're in the United States, some of us are in London. We are not going to order the chopping of people's heads in Manfred, in Kumba, in Donga Mountain, wherever, in the pretext that we are fighting a war, and go free. There's no hiding place for anybody. So that's the lesson I think we take from it. Cho Ayaba, you have your day in court or whatever thing. Even if you set free today, after having spent 2-3 months in detention, call it whatever thing you call it. No human being, no normal human being wants to go and spend 3 months in jail.
Yeah.
It is really a lesson to him, to his supporters, and to us who are prosecuting the revolution. There's no hiding place for you to do that on people. And I think, as far as we're concerned,
there's a lot that has spoken. I want us to coordinate it well, so that we can, on top of the hour, we'll need to be going into the Zoom meeting. So, Mr. Fru, you've heard it all. I want you to add some flesh to it. I know you have been boiling. There's so much for you to say, and you want to relate. Yeah.
Yes, I want to say that Ekpa and Ayaba are both criminals in the international arena. Ayaba has done not just what my dear colleague had mentioned. He also killed a lot of people in Mankon, in Bui, through his orders. He ordered the execution of General Ivo, and he was executed. This Ekpa man, from what I'm reading, is the one who has finally killed the Dio of Diabato. That is kidnapping and killing. Because I listened to an audio where the family was proposing $37,000, and the man on the other end was saying that's not enough. Go look for more money. And below and below, we saw the body hanging on a balançoire, we call it, killed by the people led by this guy Ekpa. At the command of this guy Ekpa, they make money by kidnapping. That is the body I'm talking about. They make money by kidnapping and torture, and you pay, or by execution if you don't pay. So they are in for it. I read the court's notations on Ayaba's continuous detention, and he's been detained up to the 14th of January 2025. In which case the prosecution will add not only crimes against humanity, they have other charges to add. And again, to prevent him from tampering with evidence. And he's being detained under strict detention, cannot communicate with the outside world except his immediate relative, the wife, once a week. So that is where we are. There are people who are bent on killing Ambazonians. The Dio of Diabato may be working for La Republique, but it's an Ambazonian that was kidnapped by a past people and ransom asked in millions of dollars. These guys the family ran around and got $37,000. It was not enough for them, because these are guys who live big, and they decided to take the Dio's life. That is where we are. Those are the people who are tied to the Cameroun would like to make Ayaba the leader of the Ambazonian struggle, when he is actually working for the Cameroun government and the Cameroun army. There is evidence to show that Ayaba was a proxy for La République du Cameroun. What is that evidence? Some arms were caught in a Bolova by a lady who is a colonel in the gendarmerie, and Colonel Bankwi issued an order. This is documented. Issued an order ordering her to release those arms because they are important, because they are going to a group among the Ambazonians fighting La République du Cameroun. There is also eyewitness evidence that a helicopter from La République du Cameroun dropped arms in Batibo, somewhere in Numen or some place like that. They come there and drop arms for Ayaba. Ayaba was not only being paid money, he was also being armed by La République du Cameroun through Colonel Bankwi and others. Even from the Ministry of Defense, which is attached to the presidency, Ayaba was receiving arms and receiving money. we have heard an audio between Ayaba's lieutenants like Capo Daniel and a colonel in the Ministry of Defense in Yaoundé talking about Capo Daniel having received money and has not delivered the goods. At that time, Capo Daniel was still very much tied to Ayaba, even though he pretentiously claimed now that he is not. But he is, for all intensive purposes, we know that he is still attached to Ayaba. Even the crimes that they accuse Ayaba of, he too is an accomplice. I don't know why. I don't know what the Norwegian authorities are doing to also interrogate him, because he has moved from Hong Kong to Canada. We trace their movement, you know. He has moved from Hong Kong to Canada. He now lives in Canada. Another individual that the Norwegian authorities are supposed to be looking at is a man called Ashu Lucas. Ashu Lucas is the spokesman of Ayaba, who came on the air and confirmed that they ordered the killing of those two people in Guzang Market for their crimes committed against them. Ashu Lucas he lives in Canada. So there are many accomplices of Ayaba dotted here, even right here in the United States, somewhere in Minnesota. So Ayaba is a well-known criminal, just like Ekpa. And like it always happens, no criminal goes scot-free. He's caught one way or the other along the line. It's not strange that Ayaba is in detention and Ekpa is in detention.
Barrister Fru, I think you would have said a lot there, Barrister Mbeseha. I don't know if you want to add to that. If not, I want us to move forward. Let's talk a little bit. You want to add some flesh to that?
Yes. Let me just add two short things that are very important.
Please go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, please.
We'll go back to the hearing in Geneva. And I tell you that Cameroun is a very dangerous country. If you follow the hearings, they were pinned to the wall on prolonged detentions in jail.
Yeah.
They realized as soon as they got finished, they came back to Yaoundé. The next day, Monday, Calix Etoga, who is Secretary of the Gendarmerie, issued a circular addressed to all regional commanders of the Gendarmerie and so on and so forth. Telling them, in principle, detention beyond this time is not allowed. They want to cover themselves because we know they will not follow those instructions. They want to have a document in the file. In the next review, they will say, we're a country of laws. We'll put out this order. That's what they will do. Then, again, let me go back a little bit to the death of the sous-prefet. Whatever killed him, I've said it and I repeat it here. His death lies squarely in the hands of the government of Yaoundé. They killed him. They sent him to an area unprotected. One. They refused to pay ransom to get him back. Two.
Yeah.
But they have been paying ransom to get their own people back.
Yeah.
Why did they not pay ransom to get this young man, who is the personal representative of the president, out?
He's an Ambazonian.
He's an Ambazonian. But that's not all. After we sang this song and cried this cry throughout the week, yesterday, the Minister of Communication for the first time issued a statement on the adoption of that young man. So I'm trying to say that they are following us. And I said that Ambazonians in general, the family of Iwane, they want Iwane back, dead or alive.
Now just to be sure, this is actually the image of the divisional officer. Am I correct? What you're watching on the screen right now?
Yeah.
Yes. That's it.
That's the kind of treatment. Wonderful.
So we want him back. We want him back.
Ask, what will be the interest of Simon Ekpa to pick a Cameroonian divisional officer, or which we call colonial operators, to be treated this way? I want us to talk in those lines a little bit, Barrister Mbeseha.
Let me just say this. I don't like speculation. We don't know whether the party did it. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as the Cameroon government is concerned, he was adopted and taken to Nigeria. It's a responsibility of the Nigerian government to bring him in. And Cameroon had told us publicly that they are doing diplomatic initiatives. So whatever their diplomacy is for them. We don't have to answer those questions for them. And Cameroon has no excuse. Yeah, because they have no excuse for not doing it. But let me just learn. Because if Cameroon could diplomatically negotiate with Nigeria, go adopt Sisiku in a hotel and others, go to Taliban and other places and bring people. They are capable of negotiating with the Nigerian government and bringing back Iwane. That's my take. Ekpa is so they don't bring him. That's their problem. Cameroon government owes an explanation to us. Thank you.
Okay, Pastor Fru,
let me add a little bit to say that the only reason why this man was killed because he did not pay the ransom. And the Cameroon government did nothing because the family raised 37,000. I heard this on a phone call, an audio of a phone call made by the assistant mayor of Diabato to these kidnappers. And the central point was the money. $37,000 is not enough for them. So since they could not raise the money, they could not come forward with the money, they killed him. Their modus operandi is to kidnap you, you pay the ransom, and then maybe they release you. Or if you cannot pay the ransom, they kill you and send a message. That is what they have done. And I suspect that the arrest of Ekpa is linked to this murder.
I want us to go back into the human rights concerns, and we're going to talk on the government's involvement. I'm talking about the Ambazonian government's involvement. I know that you gentlemen have been working for all these years, compiling reports to the ICC, ICJ. Maybe you want to tell others where else you send your reports. Perhaps it's part of your reports that gave content to that presenter. And what more is there for the people of Amazonia to enable this government? Because that helps us to talk on one of the things. Remember, the president, in his advertisement of this transition draft, said something. It's not just for self-defense this time. It has to do with diplomacy and advocacy. We have lobbyists that are doing a lot of work, telling the world, telling organizations, globalization, institutional frameworks are being educated of our plight. What would you people say has been done? What is yet more for us to do with propaganda and advocacy? And how can we help this government to be effective in this effort? I'll begin with you, Barrister Fru.
Paddy, I wish I knew the answer, but let me say this. Barrister Mbeseha, myself, and Barrister Ghana, we filed a criminal complaint to the ICC since December 2020. Barrister Mbeseha will tell you, because he had been writing and following up, he will tell you that the ICC is stalled with our case because of no funding. How is it our fault that an organization like the ICC lacks funding to do essential work that falls in the very, very reason why they were created? Having said that, I'm not saying that particular criminal complaint has not raised some eyebrows. I'm sure that something has happened, because if you look at the arrest of Moja Moja and the arrest of what is his name again, Clovis, it's a preemptive arrest, because those two are were essential witnesses and co-actors in the violation of human rights by summarily killing people on the ground, and they were wanted by Interpol. So Cameroon government preemptively arrest them and put them in jail. They are in jail. I don't know what kind of jail they're in, but they seem fine. The other day I saw a video of Moja Moja pointing to his new car and so on and so on, but I was meant to understand that was a propaganda, that he is still in jail. Because our government is so, we work so hard, but we lack the basic means. That is the reason for this draft today. To put some of these processes in place and push this struggle forward. And that is why the president has started the transitional draft, because we are at the tail end of this revolution. If we don't make it, it will be our undoing, because the whole tempo has changed, the whole diplomatic setup has changed. Everything seems to be moving our way. If we don't make a push, if we don't raise enough money to be able to intensify and radicalize the diplomacy and advocacy, we are done. That's why we have to do everything to raise this money. Our people are still in jail in Kansas City, and this regime that put him in jail, this Biden administration that put him in jail, will soon be going. What are we doing to make sure that they are released before they leave? Those are the issues that we need to work on, and to work on that, you need to move, and to move, you need money. So that's where we are today. I wish I knew the answer to exact answer to your question, but that is the bit that some of us know.
Well, I think you would have tried in your efforts with whatever you would have said there. Barrister Mbeseha, please.
I think the question is pertinent, but let us understand it this way. Now, the fight is pending there. There's no doubt about that. The fight is pending there. But what are we to do as Ambazonians? From what we see from that man sitting with a laptop, let us continue reporting what is going wrong, because someone is taking note of what is going on. It has been going on, it continues to go on. I will understand what is reporting. How do you report a crime, anything like that? It's 3 simple steps. You must be able to describe the place you are talking about and the event. 2, you must be able to give the names as far as you can of the people involved. 3, you must be able to describe in brief. That's what is required in reporting. Because when these guys come on the ground, if you said there was a mass grave in Cameroon, you should be able to say that it was in Boya, not just in Boya, it was in Upstation, not just in Bamenda, it was somewhere in Bafoot. That will help. So continue reporting. Then, what do we need to do? What do we lack, and what do we need to continue doing? See, these crimes, maybe they don't have the resources, but they also need diplomacy behind it to have those things prosecuted. Everything around the world is politics. And a good example of what you see is, for example, who could believe that they will indict Netanyahu, the president, the prime minister of Israel, with the defense minister. Just this week ending, they indicted them officially. The ICC indicted them officially. Why? Because of the diplomatic effort of South Africa, bringing their case to the front light, bringing the case of Gaza to the limelight at The Hague and in other international institutions. Yes, Israel is protected mostly by the West, and most particularly by the United States. But in spite of their might, they could not stop the indictment of this guy. Are those indictments very important? They are very, very important. I saw him yesterday, now on TV, talking. Now no longer being so defiant, but trying to justify his case. And I saw an expert ask, now that this guy is here, how does this affect him? Well, he said, the first is that he can no longer travel to anywhere in the world, especially to a country which is a member of the ICC. They will arrest him. But he has the protection of coming to America, going around the world, only because he's a prime minister. Those indictments hang on you until you die. Now, unless you're a local man, you will not die as a prime minister. When you get out of office, the crimes follow you. The indictment follows you to where you go. You'll be indicted. You'll be tried. Even if you are not tried, that has an effect. Remember the story of the former president of Chad, who was overthrown. He ended up in Senegal. But the crimes hung on him until he was tried and sentenced to life. He died as a convicted person. So that is what we are supposed to be doing. And as President Nsoh says, diplomacy and everything that we do needs money. We have to push. And this is the essence of the draft. We need the money to fund some of these endeavors to the best we can. But the fact that they are being highlighted is enough for us to remain convinced that they can deceive some people some of the time. They will not deceive us all the time. The eyes of the world are watching. Over to you.
You know, every time we talk about Netanyahu and his indictment or South Africa's involvement, I know we have had this discussion before. I get a little worried how South Africa has not been that proactive when it comes to African nations. And they're so interested in what is happening in the Middle East. Well, you had argued that a little bit, Barrister Mbeseha, some weeks ago when we had a conversation like this. But I get worried because that's what Ambassador is seeking right now. And that's one of the reasons for the Transition Fund Drive, where we're able to have those of substance to articulate our plight in high offices, and that can make a difference. So I don't want us to waste so much time on this. It's about lobbying nations, lobbying parties or diplomats that can be involved. On Twitter, I saw a report with one person that is interested and saying that they are already having backdoor discussions on having the US officially recognizing, I don't know how authentic that report is, officially recognizing Somaliland. And the Somaliland question is not very distant from ours. So these are some of the areas I want the both of you to talk on. We take a brief break and we come up to give some conclusions because in the next 30 minutes, the meeting with the president this afternoon in Washington should be starting. So I'll begin with you, Barrister Fru. Let's just talk on it not too long, and then we take a break, and Barrister Mbeseha will react to it before we move on to the last segment of this evening's program. Barrister Fru, please.
I read that report also about the U.S. about to recognize Somaliland. And it rang a bell in my head. I said, if the U.S. is about to recognize Somaliland, what about Ambazonia? What about Ambazonia? Somaliland was part of Somalia, but we have never been part of La République du Cameroun. Our history is even clearer than Somaliland. What makes us different from Somaliland? Is the fact that we were a trust territory under the British, under the UK. Somaliland was a trust territory under the UK. But it was, Somalia was a trust territory under the UK, but they were together. Somaliland was part of Somalia, but we were not part of La République du Cameroun. So La République du Cameroun has never been under the trust territory, the trusteeship of the British. We were. And the British were supposed to prepare us for self-governance and independence. They didn't. Because of the so-called plebiscite and even the 1608 that they were supposed to articulate for us joining La République du Cameroun, they abstained. They abandoned us. Why is the US ignoring us? It's a question that the Biden administration has not been able to answer. And we are hoping that the next coming administration will answer that question for us. We are dreaming and dreaming big that this time around, maybe things will move better than we have received in the last 4 years. Because if you look at you compare the two administrations as it concerns Ambazonia, the Trump administration in its first term did a lot for us, a lot. They suspended Cameroon from AGOA. They withdrew their military cooperation with Cameroon. They withdrew military equipment from Cameroon so that they should not use it on us. They issued a ban on the use of any equipment supplied by the United States on the territory of the southern Cameroons. They stopped training of the so-called BIR, Brigade Intervention Rapide, which is the main force that has slaughtered our people over the years, over 8 years. They did all that, but they were caught by time because a new administration came on. And when the new administration came on, it went to sleep. They did nothing for us. With all the diplomatic footwork, with all the lobbying, with everything that we did, nothing happened.
Yeah, I want to think that we're planting a seed that will surely bear some fruits. But Mbeseha, maybe you want to react to that. And I like you. I know your sentiments when it comes to South Africa's involvement with the Middle East and all of that. But it is troubling that we've not had an African country. And South Africa is a major nation in Africa that has been oppressed, especially the blacks in South Africa have suffered oppression like the people of the Southern Cameroons. But they have not, they have not been intentional diplomatically even to talk about the crimes against humanity committed in Cameroon. Now, Biya walks freely in any country he wants. Nobody's indicting him. It's like some kind of a special grace with this guy. He fries babies in palm oil. He beheads Sam Sawyer. He shoots people on camera. He orders the beating of Longe Longe. And we can equate this with what is happening in Gaza. And he walks around like Marima, welcome with red carpets, being treated in one of the most prestigious hospitals in the world. And we're worried. The discrepancies are very clever to speak. I like you to speak. I know why you're laughing. I'm provoking you.
Well, buddy, I don't think you should worry. Don't be worried about that. This is what is going on. South Africa, like any other country in the world, the UN has 190 something member countries. They pick and choose. Let us understand the steps that we'll talk about Netanyahu and the defense minister. Let us see the steps that it has taken. South Africa played a role. What did they do? The first thing they did, they went to The Hague as a single nation. They sued at The Hague, at the International Court, as one country. They sued, they brought the case there between Palestine and Israel. One country, that was South Africa. The reason behind it, I don't care. One country did it. So one country, remember, any member state of the United Nations, out of the 190 something, can bring a case before The Hague, including Equatorial Guinea. I mean, tiniest countries you can imagine. They can do it. Can Abazonia find one? They can. It's possible. Once he finished with The Hague, the issue of recognition of Palestine was now on the limelight. Many countries around the world joined the coalition, including about 30 countries from Africa, and moved on. And today, the United States is not even a member of the ICC. But today, we have what we are debating. So we don't care. If South Africa does not do it, someone else can do it. Our diplomacy should be able to work out those things. So we have no cause to be so sad about it. Then, asking about the recognition of Somaliland and the recognition of Ambazonia. If you want my opinion as an individual, I will tell you, Ambazonia shall be recognized. It's just a question of time. Forget about the history. The history is important, what President Nsoh said. But let us just give one example. Sudan, what to do? We have two Sudans. Sudan and South Sudan. The whole country called Sudan was only one country. They didn't have two countries there. Today, there are two countries recognized officially seated at the United Nations. The US championed the separation, the official separation, and the recognition of Southern Sudan. It's just a question of time. We have covered a lot. And if you listen to diplomats, I'm sometimes an odd person in the group. If you listen to what the Table Nash, whom I call a diplomat, he's the diplomat, it's not me imagining, where he tweets, Ambazonia will have what they want. There's a lot of meaning in that language. But he didn't venture to tell you when it will happen. But Ambazonia will have what they want. Why? Why, he explained in a short thing. Because Yaoundé has refused to listen to any advice. And so we will get what we want. Shall we get it when we want? Tomorrow? The next hour? I doubt. But shall we get what we want? We will get what we want. What you and me, Mr. So we're already old people can pray for. These other things should come soon enough for us to be able to go there and drink beer in Boya. But it is not down that it is coming.
You seem to have loved a lot of beginners, because you regularly talk about beer in Moliko. And
I used to drink Guinness. We will get what we want. The fine things are there. So whatever happened, we're lucky to be in the United States, where the government lasted for 4 years. Trump did 4 years and went away. He's coming back. Whether they did something or not, he's gone. We have these changes, and the changes are bringing younger people with different ideas. Among them, Marco Rubio, that we saw tweeted there. So rest assured, even Trump does not succeed in doing these 4 years, he would have laid the background to somebody who will take over from him after 4 years to do it. Because I said here before, the definition of our struggle was done by Trump. Go to the conference table, address the root causes of the problem. Biden came.
Correct.
He didn't change. It is still the same thing there. And so we will get what we want. All what we need is to fight and know that it's not upset. This
if I understand you very well,
it's not just on the highway.
Yeah, if I understand you very well. If I understand you very well, Barrister Mbeseha, I'm trying to crop in so that we can cover up more. If I understand you very well, you are saying that we need a country a nation that is audacious enough to stand up like South Africa did for Palestine. Nigeria is a powerhouse that cool. Nigeria is a brother. Nigeria knows our story. We have shown a lot of love to Nigeria and respect as the government of Amazonia. But apparently, Nigeria governments, you had Buhari and now Tinubu, they have some kind of special romance with Biya that only on the day of rapture may we understand. So we need to be looking from elsewhere. Help may come from afar because no other nation, not even Iran, was audacious enough to do what South Africa did for Palestine. No Muslim country did it. And I'm happy that help can come from somewhere. I'm also aware that the president is breaking grounds at the back. He himself has told us. For the past month, I can tell you the president is speaking with diverse congressmen. Like every day, even yesterday, President Sako had discussion with some congressmen, even yesterday. This is information I know he is not going to be hiding from you. He tells you this during town hall. He has high diplomatic meetings regularly. And this all has been made possible because of you Ambazonians, the tens of you that are already in the Zoom meeting. You're making things possible. Your money is speaking. That's the reason why we are here this evening. Can we do as the people of Amazonia, not just with what we are talking about, but what we can do to push this vehicle? And probably we could get that breakthrough in a country that will also file a lawsuit and they will not ignore like the one, like how they have ignored what Barrister Fru and Barrister Mbeseha are doing. They're ignoring you people because you do not have sufficient muscle. So the polite thing they can tell the two of your report at the ICJ or the ICC is that we don't have finances. If you guys were millionaires like Elon Musk or Trump, nobody will tell you that nonsense because you give them the money. So please, Barrister Fru, talk to us. We need Ambazonians to recognize that we are at the phase. It's transition. The president is saying that this is the final battle. We need the kind of transition money that can help us transition at high level meetings. That's very important. Even before I give you the opportunity,
the chairman of the Judicial Council,
a moment, please. Even before you speak, I want Ambazonians to listen to President Sako himself one more time, and then we'll talk.
Dear Ambazonians, fellow Southern Cameroonians, I want to inform you that we are postponing our mega launch of the Ambazonia Transition Fund by 1 week. That means the launch is now scheduled for Saturday, the 26th of October 2024, and the time is 8 p.m. Boya time. Instead, on Saturday, the 19th of October, I will be holding a planning meeting, an extended planning meeting with the federal constituency to ensure a very successful event. Here is my open letter to all our members, supporters, and well-wishers of the Ambazonia struggle. I extend my heartfelt appreciation to you all for the relentless sacrifices you have made over the years towards our collective fight for the restoration of our sovereignty as Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Your efforts, sacrifices, and unwavering dedication have carried this struggle forward, and we are now entering a critical phase, what I call the transition phase. And this demands even greater unity, focus, and sacrifices from us. However, as we press on, we recognize that some of our most valuable supporters and actors are showing signs of fatigue, and that is natural. To those of you who once stood in the forefront of this struggle, giving sacrificially of your time, resources, and energy, but step down your commitment for a season. I humbly appeal to you that the work is not yet done. The dividend of our labor is now within reach. But now, more than ever, we need you to rise again, all of us, and strengthen this movement, strengthen our endeavor as we push towards the finish line. This is the moment when our continued support is most crucial. To our brothers and sisters at home and abroad who have watched from the sidelines, this is your call to join the train, or you will be left out permanently. We are transitioning into a decisive phase in our struggle, and we want to number our winning team now. The sacrifices made by so many of us will be in vain if we do not seize the opportunity before us. There are movements, if I can tell you, happening right now, both within Ambazonia and without, that we must take full advantage of. The stakes are extremely high, higher than ever. It is like a farmer who toils through the seasons, but if he lacks the means to harvest, to gather the harvest, all his hard work will be in vain. It is not the time for factionalism. It is not a time to follow the cliques. It's not time for division. It is not the time to dwell in what separates us. We must unite, setting aside differences in ideology or approach. We need to focus and do our utmost singularly towards the common goal that binds all of us: the freedom, the unconditional freedom and restoration of Ambazonia. We must join hands and contribute to this transition phase as if everything depends on it right now, because it does. If we falter now, just to repeat myself, all the sacrifices of yesterday will be wasted. The blood, the sweat, and the tears that we have shed for our cause must not be forgotten. And we owe it to ourselves, to our fallen heroes, the patriarchs, and to our future generations to ensure that Ambazonia is free indeed in our lifetime. Our journey has not been easy, yes, but no meaningful fight for freedom ever is. Let us come together with renewed determination, putting away anything that hinders, distracts our collective progress. The time to act is now. See you on October 26 or before. October 26, 2024, with at least $1,000 is not too much to request as we both.
Okay, see you today, November 23rd. That was a message I thought can keep, the president says, in our lifetime. So I prefer the both of you to keep confessing and professing that in our lifetime. Don't, in our lifetime. It's very important. In our lifetime.
Well, even though we are older in our lifetime, what I was saying is that having heard from the chairman of the Judicial Council said we will have our recognition, we will be there, we will. He gave a positive vibe to this transitional period. And what I will add is that I take from what the president has just said. The times are very pregnant, both within Ambazonia and without. You know, when you are fighting an enemy and there are signs of your enemy weakening, that should be a time for you to intensify the fight. And that is why the last draft was called exit draft. Now we have transition. What does that mean? We have a unique opportunity to prepare for the unknown, which is anticipated, the demise of the enemy. We have an opportunity to galvanize our forces on the ground and to get them prepared for the eventuality. And in order to do that, we need to prepare with funds. We need to draft everybody who has ever dreamt of having his own country, this new country that we all want. Please come to the table. Put your hand in your pocket and put it on the table. We need it now more than ever before. We need it now in our lifetime to get to Boya and drink the big Guinness like Mbeseha is anticipating to do. Boya is a very lovely place to be. Every day we dream of Boya, we, especially those of us who are on the other side of the rainbow, we dream of Boya, not like Padidos, but we do dream bigger, and we are hoping. That's why you will find Barrister Mbeseha and myself drafting all the time, because we want to go to Boya.
And probably eat some fresh fish at Down Beach.
And eat some fresh fish in the now or Down Beach in front of the post office, Down Beach, Victoria.
And along that road, when you're there, you're struggling to eat some fresh. There is Congo meat, snails, real.
Leave that Congo meat. It's not a popular meat for all of us, but
okay.
It is. But the fish, the lobsters, and the soya is more than enough for us. All of us are anticipating that we will get there, and in order to get there, we will have to prepare now. Everybody should draft. Anybody who has not met the target of 1,000 today, fill it up. Fill it up so that we can move. The times are pregnant. Anything can happen between now and tomorrow. Yeah. Anything can happen between now and tomorrow, and you hear that the enemy is collapsing. Instead of you crossing, you are still very far because you don't have money to pay transport to get there. My God, this is our time. Amazing. I'm calling on all Ambazonians all over the world, wherever you are, even in the home front. Paddy, I have a bosom friend of mine who has just sent me a small thing. You know, these people in the village, if he can struggle and send you a small thing to give to the government for this fight, that tells you that everybody is waiting for us, and we cannot afford to fail them. Thank you.
You know, I was trying to hide the discussion since Barrister Mbeseha laid the foundation with a good vibe, like you said. I thought bringing in Congo meat will help to revive that. Man who Mankom people are used to Ngonyam. They are not.
We're not used to Congo meat.
So let's go to Bamenda, as we will be back to round up or give our closing remark on this phase of the program. Let's go to Bamenda, and the best person to take us to Bamenda right now will be none other Beshe Lantum, the guy from Bui, with his exceptional voice. We'll be back just right after this musical break. Stay tuned.
Mabamenda, sweet Bamenda, yeah. Mabamenda, oh, Mabamenda, sweet Bamenda, Mabamenda, Mabamenda, you want go Bamenda, you enter through Santa, then you met up Akumo. After Akumo, we then Amenda Square. For station, I fit to see Mangone. Singwendo, sweet Bamenda, Mabamenda, Mabamenda, sweet Bamenda, Mabamenda, I want go Bamenda, Daddy, Obafuto, Nadazo Bamenda, Balio, Nadazo Bamenda, Batibo, Nadazo Bamenda, Mabamenda, yo one people Mabamenda, oh, Mabamenda, sweet Mabamenda, 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 tanjage. Come oh, make we the tanjage. Oh, so people oh, ayo, one family oh, aya. Mabamenda, oh, mabamenda, one family oh, mabamenda, 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 oh, sweet mabamenda, it's a mabamenda, na fine fine woman, mabamenda, na fine fine chopa, yebe mabamenda, sweet mabamenda, yeah, mabamenda, mabamenda, sweet mabamenda, mabamenda, daddy, mabamenda, yeah, mabamenda, mabamenda, ayo, mabamenda, mabamenda, ayo, sweet mabamenda, yeah, mabamenda, mabamenda, hospitality, mabamenda, very welcome, mabamenda, ayo, sweet mabamenda, Mekilo do abamenda, yena wiri the chenga janso. Mekilo do abamenda, yena wiri the chenga janso. Mekilo do abamenda, yena wiri the chenga janso. Mekilo say abamenda, yena wiri the chenga janso. Mekilo say abako, yena wiri the chenga janso. Mekilo say abamenda, yena wiri the chenga janso. Mekilo say abamenda, yena wiri the chenga janso. Mekilo say abamenda, yena wiri the chenga janso. Ben batio, 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 wanto batia wajenga janga. Ben batio, batio, batia wajenga. Benjenge yetanina, benjenge yetanina, yetanino wanto batia wajenga janga. Batio, batia, Asabamino, are you feeling me? Oh, I'm feeling. Abakoboizo, wanna feeling me? If you're feeling me, make you follow me. Oh, wanna follow me to Bamenda? Oh, Asabamino, wanna feeling me? Baba, wanna land me? Oh, Babuba, yeah. Baby, wanna feeling me? Babanki, oh, wanna feel me? I say, Wumo, wanna feel me? If you be feeling me, make it last me. If you last me, I go feel you. Sheila to me, make it touch me, make I feel you. If you be feeling me, I be feeling you. Sheila to me, for last hour. I dey feeling you for last hour. I love you abella oh, yana banawa. I love you abella oh, yana banawa. Ayana garaga dale doa joa bonja doa dona. Ayana garaga dale doa joa bonja doa dona. I love you abella oh, yana banawa. I love you abella oh, yana banawa. Yana banawa. Ayana garaga dale doa joa. Over you yawa, over you yawa. Yalo do abella, yena banawa. Alo do abella, yena banawa. Ayena garaga dale doa joa, bonja doa dona. Ayena garaga da dulunga joa, bonja doa dona. Alo do abella, yena banawa. Alo do abella, yena banawa. Ayena garaga dale doa joa. The ones of the Covoronga have it the Manda, don't know. But the ones of the Covoronga have it the Manda, don't know. The ones of the Manda, don't know. Dr. Nicholas, the one for me. The ones of the one for now. The ones of the Covoronga. Divine Jim, the one fire. The one for now, hello, with the one for now, the one for now, hello, with the one for now, you may have the one shatter, baby, wanna get a one a day. Don't go to the one for now. Hello, the one for now. The win for now. Hello, the one for now. The one for now. Ayo, the one for now. Yeah, baby, wanna bump them. Wanna shatter, baby, wanna get a one a day. Yeah, nini na ho, nini you are, nini you are. One for now. Ayo, I do you have for me. One for now, nini you are.
There's no doubt that you're not just seeking to go to Bamenda as we speak right now. And think about those who know what happens with this. You heard the others talking about beginners. There are those from who are thinking about fuchu, or fresh raffia palm wine that comes from the down bushes in Mbese, in Taturu, all of those places coming there. So it's time for us to transition and go home. Vice Mbeseha, please talk to us.
Well, while we transition, I'll say we're going back home. Bamenda is just a symbolic name. So people go to Ndian, they'll eat what they eat there. So we'll go to the BLM and so on and so forth. And so we're going back home. I'm so pessimistic. I'm so optimistic about this thing that nobody can convince me. I think God is our guide. And everything has its own time. For example, let me just refresh this so I will know where we're coming from. We talk about Israel. For many years, the Palestinians have lived under tunnels. If someone had told the Israelis that the assault on Gaza was going to transform the Palestinians in tunnels to a Palestinian state recognized by the United Nations, they would not have believed it. Until then, Palestine was an observer member of the United Nations. But because of the assault on Palestinians by Israel, we surprised they themselves. They thought that they were trying to release their own people. They called them captives. But the Palestinians are taking them to the tunnels to feel the pain of the tunnels with them. And now it has matured to what we're saying now. Is it done by Palestine? Certainly not. God does not permit injustice to reign forever. The same thing will apply to us Ambazonians. Let us forget about Nigeria. Nigeria has the opportunity to do it. They didn't do it. They have their own conflict of interest. And again, as you said, Paddy, anybody, even the tiniest country in the world, God can save the nation through them. Jesus Christ, that we all believe was God, at least the majority of us, didn't come from a rich family. He came from a very poor family. He didn't even have clothes to wear. He had no house to live in. But he saved the world. Today he's called the Lord. He's called the Savior. At least most people in the world pray and call the name Jesus. And so God is our guide. But God will not fight the war for us. God will not dig the tunnels in which we will hide from the bombs of black people. We will dig them. To dig those tunnels, we need the shovels, we need the diggers, we need the money. God will not come from heaven and go and bring our case to the United Nations or to the ICC. Somebody will do it with God's permission. That person will need to pay transport. He will need food to eat. He will need to live. Money is part of human being. And so this draft, my prayer is, we'll go in there, as we always say, put even the widow's mite, God will multiply it tenfold. Over to you.
That's amazing. Barrister Fru, please, as you give your closing remarks.
Well, it is time for us to join the Zoom and give our own might. But having said that, we want to continue to call on our people, even in the home front. If you have even that colonial CFA to give, we can transform it into something. Because we need to make sure that we take an opportunity that has been offered to all by the moment. Let us draft today and continue to draft until we cross the Rubicon. Please, I am on my knees, because if there's anybody who wants to go to Boya today or tomorrow, it's me and Barrister Mbeseha. We are ready to go. Are you? If you are, come on board. Bring the money. Put it on the table like we do. Thank you very much.
That's amazing. I'm trying to give us some images there that are showing our colors, images of hope, how our people are ready to parade our colors. We have an army in waiting. These guys, they just need one very simple thing, an organization and recognition from a government at home. The government in the diaspora understands them, recognizes them.
Yes.
Look at the march. A Cameroun army cannot be disorganized. These guys, they are proving that as we go back home, we might be having one of the best armed forces in the entire West and Central Africa. When it comes to ethics and civilization, their level of professionalism is impeccable. So these are just some snippets of the beautiful things for those who are watching us at the home front. Most of the time, we're streaming this on almost daily basis. It's important that we keep showing you some of these images so that you feel the ambience, the beauty of whatever is happening, and our duty of what we intend to do. I will be stopping the stream on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you're not logged in to the Zoom meeting, you may not be enjoying anything that is coming up now. We have a lot in store for you. We're going to continue with some beautiful music, and only for those at the Zoom meeting, they're the ones that will definitely benefit from this beautiful music. And I want to say that if you are watching us via YouTube and Facebook and you are not signing yet, you have a few seconds to sign in. I intentionally will want to stop this broadcast so that you can join us now, not later. You can join us this very minute in the Zoom meeting, and you will participate effectively like everyone. So let me take some of us to Momo as we transition into the Zoom.
Bamata Tikera Senator Norangu Tibakera Senator Wangu Bagur woman Batuzi Burka wearing Banyat Bagur Chuba Mina Borabot Menamo Sasana Manu Matana Gura Tonga Aya was in and when as a Bajenga Bongo Abinga Gumachinka ba nya enjo ka enje maye kumami watongo azwa kunga ya soze wacho ngwena zara atamba brangra ze funga tu amanda wacho fako yezangana jiga gawo wamata ninga gzo che tu munyibrinyar Zwetien, chin on a chosso, quava com canner, Sakorman bia, Makaza, matem nur. Roba wado, Tiazia, Fagara, Gwe, Kumbanga Trossa, Chitaba, Makakumba, Bama Gwen and Jirambing Bay and then near so the Tuza. Wanga Bana Bear, Mammy Baba Buran, Bama Ben and your fever. Mare, Nang form a Casarami, Kukaban fever. I couldn't have seen a beautiful Carabo, Manera phone, Nang Twin and Jimne. Aye. Chichi, our Fatuma, a Juju Zabazu is Upana Tongne. Azizi, Gunda Brufu, Quieto, Chichinian, Bamazu Tumba bought for a Gumbara Yombunga, two as a tall. Grita gang away in the corner. Bassa pain of a zimmer, Nasifa Finny, I gonna see a chain with no one for Bazui. Gwegam what you with, I gonna see a troops up a Chichin Bandi. Wang ni jang you was Mbeseha as a Ramon Buna when I was a chinga. Bankono the kind of females of a chair. Two and was a truck. Manipsa Swissung and never get it a car. When for being was a bar engine again. Ayaba when no kaba cigar one jiriga. Two as a panda, Akaye, Kombambang. I'm a no, I was Zurunga Banbang. Two chiga, our carangum, Kabaningum, knitting a uniform, Chipiko. She had to brush a cover sub song to know a sober. I'm a sober, Sophie, Jimmy Benjim, Nenga Jacka, a a king. I'm a son, you're a meng, Mama Nang Ma Achu, say and a copper, a summer sum with 2 minutes at Tinanga. I find a ambot, quite a bat, I find a finger board corner. And even a 10 franc nas on a chalk. Can a woman I would have the Tumba Changut? Manamo! Margaret Chubamina Borabot.